like a lioness. Rawr. Hello and welcome to the first official Like a Lioness podcast. Woo! We've done it. We've made it. Finally, how exciting. Now, the best news is I'm not here alone this week. For those of you who don't know, my name is Jessica Rowe and I'm your host of Like a Lioness. But this week we have two very special guests with us. First off, it is my co-host, Alisha. And then we also have, sat next to her, Natalie.
Hey.
Here she is. Very exciting. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast. Welcome, Leash, to your first official Like a Lioness podcast. How does it feel?
Brilliant. This is so fancy. It's so professional.
It's weird, isn't it?
Check you out, Jess.
Most importantly, how are we both today?
So honoured to be here.
Yeah, good.
I'm very glad you could both be here. It's very rare that our schedules all collab to give us a free couple hours, so it's very exciting.
One night only.
One night only. So first of all, let's talk how we know each other, when we all started liking football, and what teams we support. Go on, take it away.
So we all know each other from our uni team, and we're all committee members.
Yes.
Yes, love it. Simple.
No.
That's
yeah.
it. Simple as that. It
Pretty
is as
much.
simple
We
as
do,
that, isn't it?
yeah. We've known each other through football and we've got so close being on the committee.
Yeah.
Just always being together and it's
Especially this year.
brilliant.
It's
Yeah.
really kicked off in a good way. It's kicked
Really
off in a good
has.
way. And in terms of actual football, how long have you guys been playing or watching?
I've been playing since I was 5.
Similar
Obviously
to me.
watching around that age as well all the time. Playing on boys teams, girls teams, Sunday leagues. It's been
Nice.
good.
Nice.
Yeah. I've been playing a bit less, probably since I was 13, and not really watching, only the World Cup. But my
Yeah, they're
family
kind of
was
the main
never
ones.
really a football family.
Mm.
My dad supports Southampton, so
Oh, that says
say,
it all,
say
doesn't
no
it?
more.
Say no
Next
more.
question, please.
And most importantly, Leash, who do we
Yeah.
both support?
Right, wow, you've got 2 Gooners in here.
Gooners coming through.
Yay.
No, I haven't actually announced that on the podcast yet, but I am an Arsenal fan, born and bred, thanks to my father. So shout out to you, Dad.
That's the only thing my dad was good for.
Love it. But no, he did raise me as an Arsenal fan, and I did used to hate it because it was traumatic. But hey, they're doing all right now, both sides of them. So
true.
it's okay. It's okay. Now, let's get into women's football, shall we? That is the reason we're here. And we're going to start with the score rundowns of this week's matches. Now, before we get into the WSL, the Women's Super League, let's just mention that for, I believe, a 7th year in a row, Barcelona have been crowned the winners of La Liga, which is absolutely crazy.
Very
Bonkers.
impressive.
Very
7
impressive.
years.
Not surprised.
That's very
On the
solid.
trot, 7 years. In my opinion, I don't think there's enough competition for them over there.
Doesn't seem like it.
No.
It doesn't, does it? Now,
No.
we will have a whole episode on European football and the other leagues that are on offer coinciding with the WSL. But for them to win 7 years in a row, and obviously they're in the final of the Champions League again. I'm pretty sure they won that last year as well. It's insane.
Yeah.
Very strong team.
Mm-hmm. I
And-
don't think they could be knocked off there anytime soon.
No, they're on a high horse and
Yeah.
they keep riding.
They'll be there.
Fair enough.
Whoa.
Fair enough. So very well done to them over at Barcelona. Their transfer windows are very good and they keep up with it. Can't question it, to be fair.
Exactly.
Right, on to the WSL for this week. So let's have a look at the table as of current. For those of you who don't know, it's Chelsea and Man City who are fighting for that top spot. There's only one official game left, but Chelsea have a game in hand, so they've got 2 left. And all Man City had to do this week was beat Arsenal, and they would have basically been crowned. I mean, Chelsea would have had to work for it.
That's all they had to do.
That's all they had to do. But hey, Arsenal had other ideas. So currently, looking at it now, Man City are at the top with 52. Chelsea are second with 49, but of course they have that game in hand. And Arsenal are third on 47. So they are your 3 Champions League teams for next year, which for Arsenal, I'll take that. We've had a bit of a rocky season, lots of injuries. So to get European football, is always a win.
Definitely.
Is it just the top 3 that go to the Champions
Just the top 3. So for those of you who don't know,
Okay.
Natty loves
Yeah.
football, but she's not quite as in touch with it.
I'm
as me and
learning as I
Leash.
go.
So she is, for those of you out here there who love football but don't know much about it.
She's
Natty
your
is
girl.
your
I'm your
girl.
gal.
But yeah, so the top 3 go through to European football, to Champions League.
Wow.
So we have got Champions League football, which is good, but obviously out of that title race now. But let's look at the scores from this week specifically. Mostly they're what we expected. Your scores were 2-2 Everton Tottenham, fair enough. 1 to Villa, none to Brighton. Liverpool won their game 1-0 to Man United. West Ham and Leicester were 1-1. But of course, that shocking results come from those top 3 teams. So first of all, let's talk Man City versus Arsenal. 2-1 with some amazing last minute goals. Leash, were you watching? Were you following along?
I was. That was a scary game. That
It was tense. I was
a
driving in my
scary
car back
game.
from work and I was like, I nearly turned it off and I was like, no,
Yeah.
Jess, there's only 5 minutes of extra time or
Yeah.
whatever left. Stick with it.
You've got to believe in us, honestly.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the belief, then
You're
there's no
gone.
point
Yeah.
watching because we smashed it.
Yeah. So the 2 goals were from Blackstenius at the end, weren't they?
Yeah. She popped them in.
Popped them
She
in,
got- yeah.
89th minute and 92nd, 93rd.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, Man City took an early lead with,
Hempo scoring,
scoring.
at 17th minute.
which was rough. And I think Arsenal just fall asleep. They're not very good when a team goes up at staying on it.
Yeah.
But
Sounds a bit like our team.
yeah, it does a bit, doesn't it?
Maybe we.
Maybe we need to take a leaf out of Arsenal's book.
Yeah.
Score some last minute bangers.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what they're good at. See,
Yeah.
Blackstenius always is around the goal. She's ready
She
to receive
is.
that ball, which she did in both of them goals.
Mm.
And she took us for the win.
Yeah, she did.
The assists were very, very good. But
And
obviously the
also
goals,
talk subs to me. Good subs. We've
Mm.
got a good bench.
Yeah, we did. That's the point. She wasn't on
No.
the first half. She comes on, 2 goals go in. That's what she's good at.
It really does show that it does come from the management. And
Mm.
if you've got a good manager who knows what he's doing, I think he had a wobbly start. He did have a wobbly start, but he seemed to have found his feet at Arsenal. So
Who is the
hopefully,
manager?
Jonas.
Jonas.
Yeah, lovely man.
Goodness.
Love
Yeah.
that
Lovely
guy.
man.
yeah.
But no, he's doing well for us. And then obviously, when you see that and City have lost 2-1, that's got to inspire Chelsea. It's got to give them a kick, surely.
Mm.
And a kick it did.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
tell you, because they went on to win their game against Bristol City 8-0. Now, for those of you who are up to date with football, you will know with a Man City loss, it probably means that this season could very easily go to goal difference, because all they have to do is Chelsea win both their games, Man City win their game, and it goes to goal difference. Now, before their 8-0 win, Chelsea were quite far behind. Well, 7 goals behind. But now that they scored 8, they are in fact 1 up
Yeah.
on Man City. So not only have they put themselves right back in to the race, the title race, they've done it with style.
You can definitely see how much the girls Blues, they want it.
Yeah.
They want that title.
And I hate to say it, I didn't think they were going to do it.
No?
I thought Bristol City, they maybe should have got the win. You know, Bristol, bless them, are at the bottom. They've tried. They haven't
Yeah.
been able to keep up, but they've done well. But 8-0 is insane
Quite
from Chelsea.
miraculous.
Yeah.
It really is.
Impressive score.
I think the only thing to ask you guys about the football of this week is who do you think is going to take the win? Chelsea or Man City?
I don't think for me, as a Gooner,
She
I
can't
just
comment.
can't stand having Chelsea anywhere near the top.
fair enough, fair enough.
So it's not about the better ballers. It's
At least
about
it's
for
not
me.
Tottenham.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Man City taking it, but the way the pressure's got to them, I
Could be
think
double glory over at Man City
Yeah.
if they do, for men and women.
I think Chelsea could push at the last minute, like they're doing now.
I mean, the thing with Chelsea is they had the chance of getting 4 trophies this year, and they have bottled every single one
I think
apart from Premier
It's
League,
the pressure.
which is weird because they're normally quite good. Don't know
Mm.
what's happened to them this season.
Might be management, might be.
Well,
You
we'll
know,
touch on Emma
yeah.
Hayes later, yeah. Natty, who do you think's taking the win?
I mean, 8-0.
8-0.
If they can do that again,
Yeah, if they can do that
if
again.
that's the word. If they can do it again, then my vote would be on them. But that's an if.
Well,
Doesn't
we'll
mean
have
that'll
to
happen.
see
We
next
will.
week,
Yeah.
won't we? There it is.
Oh
End of section 1 on to section 2. So let's bring it round to our topic of this week, which is female teams playing at the quote-unquote male stadiums. Now, before I get your opinion on things, I'm just going to spit out some facts for the audience members. So the attendance has increased by 200% since the Euros in 2022. Every WSL club has committed to hosting at least one game at the quote-unquote men's stadium. That was in the 22-23 season, and obviously we've seen this increase in recent years. Last season, Arsenal committed to 5 WSL games. Chelsea had 7, including obviously their European and big trophy games. Bristol City Women's played all of their games at the Aston Gate Stadium, which is the male stadium. But then you have teams like Man United, who since 2018 have only played at Old Trafford 6 times. Big difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
Big difference. Now, obviously, I don't want to touch on Arsenal too much, but when I was looking it all up, they are actually the easiest to find statistics on. So, on average, match attendance in 2021 to 22 for an Arsenal women's game was 8,652. This year, your average is 53,871, which would place them 6th in the attendance ranking for the actual Premier League.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive.
That
Biggest
deserves a
smile on
clap.
my face.
That deserves a clap. Very impressive. They started rising and they just didn't stop. Go on, fill me in. What do you guys... Obviously, we all went to an Arsenal match all together. Arsenal, Man United.
We did.
What was
We
the
did.
atmosphere like in those stadiums?
It was amazing.
What do you think of females playing in quote-unquote male stadiums? And yeah, do you think this will
What do you think,
keep
Nat?
rising?
Well, as someone who has not attended many games, I've only gone to the one that you just mentioned, and then one a
Yep.
few years ago. And in comparison to the one a few years ago, the Arsenal and Tottenham, was it?
Arsenal, Man
Man
United.
We
U.
saw at Arsenal Man U.
Arsenal Man U match. There was a lot more attendance
So much
compared to
more.
the last one I saw, which was Arsenal versus Chelsea. But that was like, I would say like 10 years ago. I think I
No.
was only about 13. But
Yeah.
yeah, in those 10 years,
And you
It's
said that
gone
last one you
crazy.
saw was actually at Wembley as well.
yeah, Wembley.
So instantly it's
Yeah,
assuming
I
it
think
would
they
be
can
bigger.
fit like 90,000 in Wembley. So
Something like that,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
considering
incredible.
there was only about half in attendance there, not even half, way less
Insane.
than half. It's amazing.
No, I loved
Growth.
it. I've watched men and women's football in,
Yep.
and out of stadiums.
Yep.
Comes from Wembley to Swindon Town.
Yep.
And oh my gosh, just being there, I just felt like any other football. There was no difference between a man's and a women's game.
If anything,
For
more
me.
exciting because it's
Yeah.
women's.
Yeah.
And just seeing the diversity in the crowd was insane. Young boys and girls, like older men and women. It was incredible.
We will be talking about the specific groups that attend football and how it's changing, especially women's football, in another episode. But in terms of the crowds compared to, you said you've been to both,
Yeah.
how do the crowds differ?
Men, obviously, there's a lot more rowdiness.
There is, isn't there?
There's
Laddish culture,
yeah,
isn't
and
it?
it's a bit like there's a lot of rude and snarky comments and chants. I think what I love about the women's game is that there
Lovely
is some,
chants, aren't
yeah, they are. They're encouraging and positive. So being in that environment just made me want to obviously continue with football and just continue following the girls' game.
Yeah, perfect. Now, just for a bit of context on this stadium business, a male game, this is all, again, at the Emirates, rough figures. I said in the introduction podcast, anything we say, we'll try our best to fact check, but please go and do your own research if you have any further questions. But on average, a male game will make around $1 million from ticket sales, booze sales, drink sales, and food. And then obviously you have to pay the staff, etc., etc. Whereas the woman, if they play at a sold-out stadium, because of the difference in ticket, which is, for a male game, around £100 a ticket, we paid for our game £12.50 for a student,
Yeah,
Really good.
for a
£15 for an
women's
adult.
game.
That's where the big difference is. But, and so a women's game, they probably make about half that, if not a bit less. Would you pay more to go and watch the women's play? What's your price range?
See, when you told us about that game and you said it was only $12.50, I was so shocked.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't remember how much I paid last time.
Well, to
No.
go into the, not VIP area, but the nicer
Yeah.
booth,
Yeah.
nicer seat, £35.
It just
only 35.
And it's
though,
about
for
probably
VIP.
200 for, if not more. You probably need some kind of membership to go as a man.
it's
male game.
encouraging. Don't get me wrong. You're like, okay, that's doable.
They're more
However,
accessible.
the more we grow and the more they think, oh, we can ramp the price up now, people aren't going to go.
No.
They're gonna go, oh, I paid
But you've got to ramp
$12.50.
up the prices if you're going to
And they
make a
do.
difference.
Mm.
I think it should have been more expensive. I'd pay up to £100
Yeah.
a ticket. I'd pay for a season for women's.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's hard, especially if they open it up to women's now. It'd be easier to get a season ticket. For men's, gold dust to get a season ticket. Absolutely ridiculous money. For a woman's, I would get a season ticket. But again, it's looking at how much you're paying. I reckon £40 a game, kind of like a theatre ticket.
Yeah.
£40 to £50
They deserve
for
that.
especially where we set up at the top. I would pay a bit more to be down at the front. I think they could get that, and I think it would retain some kind of an audience. Now, do you think, looking at the way that football, the trajectory of it so far, do you think this number's going to rise? Do you think it's going to keep going? Do you think it's going to halt at all? Obviously, we haven't got a big competition till next summer for the women's now, but it's those that are really bringing it in. It's the Euros, the World Cups. How do you see this going?
That's what I mean. It's the big things, like you came because we went to the Emirates. It's the big things like the Euros that get people going. And if we don't have that for a while, I can see it coming to a...
I can admit I've never been to
Steady
Meadow
pace.
Park to watch Arsenal women's play.
I wish I could.
I wish I could.
Yeah.
But it's just not advertised the same. It's
No.
not rallied up. I had to book off work for when we went a couple months in advance, but it was advertised from the start of the year, basically.
Yeah, and in terms of time and travel, if you're going to an Emirates stadium, you're like, I'm going because that's the Emirates.
Feels like it's worth it.
It does feel
Which
like
sounds
it's worth
horrible,
it. It
but-
does, because I support the girls 100%.
Yeah, I think, as I said, like I wasn't brought up in a football family, so I never really watched the smaller games other than, I say smaller, but like the Premier League games other than World Cup and Euros. But I think that also has something to do with the advertisement, because I never see any adverts on my phone pop
No,
up
until the
about
Emirates.
football other than the bigger, more international matches.
Yeah, and it's the same with all clubs, I think, across the WSL.
yeah.
Obviously, Bristol have also announced that they would love, even though they're being relegated, unfortunately, they want to keep supporting the women's, and as they should.
Yeah.
As they should, because they deserve the platform. Obviously, we'll come to TV time and how it's growing there as well. But it all comes down to money, and that's the annoying thing. Women's football does not get the same funding.
But I'd say all the fans are willing to put more money into it.
Yeah.
So why
aren't we
they? Yeah,
exploring that?
exactly.
Big questions to
That
be
is
asked.
a big question.
We'll go sit down with the boss and speak to
Yeah.
him. Interesting, very interesting. But hey, let's see how it grows over the next year, and hopefully we can get to a couple more games ourselves.
And she was a fairy.
And it's time for section 3. Now, this is the bit that gets juicy. This is where we get juicy.
Sit down, get a cuppa,
Get a cuppa, grab a bicky,
get a bevy.
And
What's
get
your go-to
ready.
biscuit?
My go-to biscuit. Well, when I was gluten-free.
Gluten-free.
Probably, I do love love a chocolate digestive,
I was gonna
Oh, you
say,
can't go
especially for a
wrong.
tea.
Jammy
what, I-
Dodger.
Jammy
I love a
Dodger.
custard cream.
Yeah,
Custard cream,
yeah,
bourbons.
Oof.
Oh,
Post-game snack custard cream.
Oh,
Yeah,
love
stole most
it.
of yours last week.
post-game snap is a pint. Who are you kidding? Let's be honest. Win or lose.
We're
on the booze.
Nicely done. Anyway, let's head on to gossip. Now, this is the part where really I will try my best to fact check, but sometimes we just want a girly gossip, all right? Gossip with my girls, especially when we get the whole committee on, eh? That's going to be juicy.
Oh my god.
Love it. But gossip this week. Let's start by looking at Chelsea because there's quite a bit to cover for these guys. Now, first of all, it was announced this week that Fran Kirby is leaving. What do we think of this? Do we think why? Do we have any reasons why we think she's leaving? Is Chelsea going to fall apart?
I'm clueless. Why is she leaving?
I have no idea.
She has been in that club for years.
Years.
Is it 9 years? I don't know.
Something like that.
But when I saw the video,
Pretty much the same as Emma Hayes has been
Yeah.
there, I reckon.
it kind of made me emotional. I was like, oh.
Yeah, really cute video she put out.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, head over to her Instagram and it is up there. It's a really nice video. Good tribute.
I'll go
Yeah,
have a look at that
definitely.
Go and
after
have a
this.
look.
Yeah.
But bless her, I don't know, with this management change, because obviously Emma Hayes is leaving at the end of the season, I could see a couple more players dropping off. They've lost their spirit, Chelsea, I think.
Yeah.
Even though they're still up for the title race, I
Yeah,
think
but
they've
that's-
lost their spirit.
That spirit comes with Emma. So I feel like
Yeah.
it's going
And
because she's going.
She has given up.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, I do think she's given up this last bit of the season. Speaking of Emma Hayes, she made a comment this week after the game that they played against Bristol City. So obviously last week she finished the game, they lost, and she said the title will go to City. In her post-match interview, that's what she said. However, she said the title will go to City, it's over. And then this week, funnily enough, it's done a 180, shall we say, and she's turned around and said, just to be clear, it's not effing over. That was her post-match interview. So it confuses me why she would put a damper on the season with her comments like it's gone to City. Is that a way of motivating her girls, do you think? There's obviously some kind of talk going on in the changing room. But it confuses me. Has she thrown this season away?
Just sounds a bit bittersweet to be commenting on a team like that.
Why
It's not
would
very
you?
good.
We wouldn't have that at Spa.
Yeah. Oh no.
No downers.
No.
Never ever.
I don't know. I think she might have just been having an off day. Because why are you
It is
talking about
frustrating
your
if you
team like
lose when you're
that?
in the title
Woke
race.
up on the
is.
wrong
But
side of the bed.
I think she got a talking to, and
She
then
would
she
just say, "We go
reassured us
again."
all.
I would say
Smacked
something
her
like,
wrist.
it was a tough defeat, but we go again. Still games to go.
Yeah.
You know, not it's gone to City.
Because does she have the faith or not? She said both things now.
Well, mate, it's obviously motivated the girls in some way because they went on to win 8-0. But there must be some kind of dampering in spirits. They obviously lost their Champions League game not too long ago. They're out of that. They got kicked out the FA Cup. We beat them in the County Cup. I mean, they didn't have much going for them by the end of the season when they started wanting the quadruple.
Yeah, that's maybe why she starts saying the words she was saying. She wasn't hopeful because of all them losses. But then they get an 8-0, 8-1,
8-0.
8-0 win. And yeah, of course she's going to
Suddenly,
think they're the title winners.
Yeah, then as a manager, you do need to have some sort of composure when it
You
comes
do,
to
don't
losing.
you?
Yeah, she lost it, but also against our manager, she's lost composure.
She does
many
have a bit
times.
of a heated side, shall we say.
Yeah.
She's made comments about things in the past as well. But look, she's done very well for Chelsea.
Yeah.
And it is going to be sad to see her go from the WSL. She's going, I think, to America, maybe.
Oh, good for her. She's a good
What's she doing
manager.
in America?
I think managing still, but just
Okay.
her time's done in the WSL, and she has had a
Fair
very long road. You know, she does need something new, but I think the Chelsea that come out in September after this transfer window is going to be very different. Very, very different. Now, let's touch on briefly. We'll obviously have more episodes to come on this, but dating in women's football.
Hell yeah. Bring it.
There's many a couple in women's football. Obviously, Emma
Yes.
Hayes has made her comments about how she feels about people dating within women's football.
Yeah.
But my favourite at the moment, I'm sure you know this, Alex Scott and Jess Glynn.
What a comeback Jess Glynn's
What?
made.
That is one way to get your music
Yeah.
out there, isn't it?
Jess,
Date
can I just
Alex
say, there's
Go on.
no place I'd rather be.
Scott. Oh, there
Than
she
on this
is.
podcast.
Someone
Than
had
on
to
this
say
podcast. She did have to say it. I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
But it's so true. What a cute couple. What an unexpected couple.
I love it.
I love it. Love it
That
for them.
shocked me, to be honest.
I know.
I haven't
I
heard
told
about
you
Jess
that
Glynn
last
in
week, didn't I?
ages, and you said she's dating Alex Scott.
She
and I
has
was like,
actually got a new album out.
What's
Really
going
good. Go
on?
give it a
But-
listen. Called Jess, I think.
I'm for
Great
it.
name. Yeah,
good.
really for it. But honestly, I think dating in women's football, yes, it can get messy, but they
We're
will
no
keep
strangers
it.
to that, girls.
They will keep it to
Can
a
it?
professional standard.
No, it's
You have
As
to.
you'd
Yeah.
expect. Yeah.
it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you asked a football fan, like you've seen these things, non-football fans who's dating, you don't know. Like they do really well at the professionalism.
I didn't know.
But
I do now.
Exactly.
I do think that just how our team has so much gossip and things within it. I really don't think it
No.
changes in the professional level.
True, it's just not
No.
on the cameras.
It's just not on the cameras.
No.
It's just not out there for
Kept
everyone.
under wraps.
And
Yeah.
then obviously when I was listening to Alicia Russo's Alicia and Tooney's new podcast, and they were touching on like rumours and stuff, and they said as soon as you're mates with someone, you're dating them, and it is true. I do find myself seeing people on TikToks together. You're like, they must be dating now. When,
Yeah.
they're just best friends. But it is a big thing, and we will cover it more. But I just wanted to touch on them. Alex Scott and Jess Glynn. I love them. I love them together. Anyway, as I just said, Tooney and Russo's got a podcast out. Love it.
Love it. Oh my gosh.
Back together.
Yeah. I'm envious of their friendship.
Are they,
We're
they're
really
not dating,
close.
are they?
They're not dating.
No,
Okay.
see, there we go.
Ella Toon, yeah,
But they're
there
best
it is.
friends.
Ella Toon has a boyfriend.
She does.
Tooney.
Tooney does. Don't know about Russo.
Toon. No, I
Tooney.
don't know either. But their friendship's brilliant. And obviously,
Brilliant.
like
Really cute.
Russo leaving Toon at Man United, this is the best thing they could have done.
Yeah.
Is meeting up, doing a podcast, because people love seeing them together.
They had a chant as well. What
They
was the-
did.
what
They
was
have.
the
They still
chant?
have it in England.
Tooney and Leslie Russo.
Yeah, there it is. And I like it. I like
Yeah.
It's
it,
10
I
out of 10.
like it.
Niche.
Thank you.
But no, it is nice seeing them back together. They did have a lot of rumours going about them. They're not friends anymore. One person said something to someone, and obviously they went on their first England camp after Russo left, and then the cameras didn't get them together as much, and they're like, they're not friends anymore.
Oh my God.
And then the second they saw them together and was like, they're fine. I'm like, just take a step back and realise that business moves are business moves.
But people love gossip. They love to make up so much. So
Yeah, Tooney's already said she hates London. If you listen to her podcast, she says it. And that's why she didn't want to come down here. She's a Manchester girl through and through. Mancunian through and through. But no, really glad that they're back together, and competition for our podcast, really. So we'll see. Right, on to some transfers and people who are stepping down. We've got, apparently, Tottenham. Obviously, you may know Grace Clinton currently is on loan to Tottenham from Man United. Absolute icon. And apparently Tottenham plan on making a permanent move on Grace Clinton, which I think could be great. But they have to persuade Man United to let her go. Would you let someone like Grace Clinton go? Would she be right for a Man United team?
I can't see her at Man U, but I wouldn't.
They
shouldn't let her go.
I don't want us to go to Tottenham because I'd rather her come to us.
Yeah,
but
she's incredible.
She's a really good young baller. We're seeing a lot of them come through.
Do footballers have a say when they move or not, or do they just get moved by the team they're in?
They do slightly. They all have like managers and stuff like that. They do get, if they want to stay, they'll stay. But Mary Earps wanted to stay at Man United. She stayed.
Exactly.
I watched
It's the Office.
Beckham on Netflix, and that taught me a few things about moving teams.
Nice.
He made us
Yeah,
a
it's
few
slightly
movements.
different in the men's game just because there's a bit more money involved.
Yeah.
Of course.
But for women's football, you do get a bit more of a say, which is nice.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, that would be an interesting permanent move. It is also a shame because I don't think she can play in the final.
No.
Because she's on loan.
They need her. She's keeping
key.
the strength.
She's key to that Tottenham team. Obviously, they haven't done terribly this season. They haven't thrived. But yeah, interesting to see where she goes. You've got Aston Villa boss Clara Ward is stepping down. A couple of managers leaving at the end of this season. I think need a bit of a switch up in the WSL. It's getting bigger.
Why do you think
teams want to do more? Aston Villa are very mid-table at the moment. They want to go higher.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Can't blame them. Your time's done. We've got Ellie Roebuck has apparently officially signed for Barcelona on a pre-term contract agreement. That could be interesting.
Yeah.
This is what I say about Barcelona making moves.
She wants to get in on that 7-time winning.
And bless her, she hasn't
Good for
had
her.
much
As she should.
showing this year.
No, she hasn't.
She does deserve more. She's a good little player.
She is, yeah.
And I'm not saying she'd go straight into, first goalkeeper choice at Barca, but it would definitely be an opportunity. And you've got some English girls out there.
Yeah.
You've got Bronze, you've got Walsh. So she's got people she knows. So that could be a good move if that does get her officially gone through over summer. And then, bless her, I watched this game, obviously. Man City. Steph Hodgson. How do you pronounce her last name?
Houghton.
She had her last game. 22 years she's been playing.
I don't know.
She played her last home game for Man City. She played for England. She's played for Man City.
She did.
Absolute icon.
Yeah. She's great.
She's that golden age of Alex Scott kind of football, isn't she? Who are slowly filtering out, bless them. Gonna miss them all.
Yeah.
But
We will.
new age generation is coming through.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Which is incredible.
Yeah, it's so cool. The amount of young people
girls
our age
getting in football.
getting in there is, I'm so excited to see
Well,
where
even
they'll
on our
go.
team, the amount of people who haven't really kicked ball before, but they came down for a kick about.
Yeah, and now
Here
they're
we are.
hooked.
They're solid.
Now they're hooks. So really, really good. Now, some great stuff for the WSL game, which has been announced recently, is that apparently the Women's WSL and the Women's Champions League are going to get a record £9 million per season from Barclays sponsorship for the next 3 seasons. Now, when you look at that, probably not loads. 9 times 3, what you're looking at, 27 mil over 3 years.
Yeah.
Again, when you're comparing it to the men's game, dirt money. But
Yeah.
Let's
that's
not
good.
compare it to the men's game.
that's not. It's its own game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And women's getting something is something.
It is.
We'll make it into something.
And it's growing.
incredible.
Which is incredible. So hopefully
Really good.
they need a bit more money everywhere, and they are going to be cruising because bless them, they do deserve more. The players deserve more. I saw a quote from Lucy Bronze talking about how when she first started playing, it was something about if she scored, she would get £100, or if she played, she'd get £100. If not, she'd get nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's insane. Look at her now. And this week announced Project ATL. I know that in a couple of weeks' time we are going to do an ATL focused podcast, but really good that they're looking into it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what they're
What they
doing
find,
and
because
what
I've
they do.
always read stuff about boots being made for men and the grounds just, certain things just doesn't work with the female anatomy.
Yeah.
And it does need to be looked into. I mean, Arsenal had 4 ACLs in the last year?
I can't believe
ridiculous.
this research hasn't been conducted before.
Sooner.
Yeah,
Absolutely insane.
'cause we're growing, and that research needs to be quick.
Otherwise, we're all going to do our ACLs and we've got pop open narrow, but we've already got dodgy knees.
Yeah.
Don't need to make them any worse. Absolutely ridiculous.
Sport does that to anyone. So for an
It
ACL
does.
research to be conducted for football, that can help for any sport.
So hopefully that grows, but we'll talk more on that in a couple of weeks. How did you find your first podcast?
That was so fun.
Yeah, I finally relaxed. We're
We're settled into
we're
it.
at the end, but yeah.
Hopefully for the next few we'll come into it
Yeah.
a bit chiller. Natty, I'd love to have you back on the podcast
I'd love
if you're
to be
free.
back on it. I'm
Um,
always free for you, Jess. Come
Perfect.
Oh.
We will work out what we're talking about next week. I'll stick it on the Instagram. If you have not followed already, go and follow us on
Follow.
Instagram at Like a Lioness, and go and check out our YouTube channel where we record these podcasts so that you can see our beautiful faces. I'm sure I'm probably blocking my face with my knee or my microphone most of the time. But hey,
Beautiful.
it's all in the fun of it. So go check us out. It's Like a Lioness on all platforms. Thank you so much for coming this week, girls.
Thanks for having
Thanks
us.
for having us.
Hopefully
So
you'll be back next
fun.
week. Hopefully we have a wonderful social on Wednesday, as we always do.
Yeah, bring it on.
And go and kick a football or watch some women's football this week, everybody. And we'll see you back on Wednesday next week. Goodbye.
Bye. And she was a fairy.
Booming! Oh,